Hello students, a warm welcome to this teaching module in economics. As you know, we are currently doing the topic human capital formation. In this module, we will be carrying on with that topic. We have already learned about what is human capital formation and what is human capital, different other types of capital. Now we need to look at what is the relationship between human capital and economic growth. Well, how are human capital and economic growth related? Economic growth means the increase in the real national income of our country. The contribution of an educated person to economic growth is more than that of an illiterate person. Thus, education, along with other factors like job training, job information, health, and migration, well, these are the sources of human capital, as you know, increase an individual's income generation capacity. The increased productivity of human capital contributes not only towards increasing labor productivity, but also brings about innovation and creates the ability to use new technology. In this way, economic growth and human capital are related. Why is government intervention needed in education and health sector? Education and healthcare services create both private as well as social benefits. Therefore, both private and public institutions are engaged in education and health services. Expenditure on education and health makes long-term impact and they cannot be easily reversed. So, government intervention is important. In this situation, providers of education and health services acquire a monopoly position and so are involved in exploitation. Here the role of government is to ensure that the private providers of these services follow the standards set by the government and charge fair prices. Let's move on to what are the problems of human capital formation. The first problem with regards to human capital formation is rising population. The rapidly rising population adversely affects the quality of human capital. Why? Because it reduces per head availability of the existing facilities. Which are these facilities? These facilities relate to housing, sanitation, drainage, water systems, hospitals, education, power supply, and so on. A stress on these facilities retards the quality of life or reduces the quality of life and lowers the capacity to acquire specialized skills and knowledge. The next problem with regards to human capital formation is something called as brain drain. Now, migration of persons born, educated, and trained in India to developed countries is a serious threat to the process of human capital formation in the country. Those who decide to migrate are highly educated people. They are executives, engineers, physicians, educators, and so on. This is described as a problem of brain drain. This slows down the process of human capital formation in the domestic economy. Yet another problem associated with human capital formation is deficient manpower planning. Insufficient efforts have been made to maintain demand-supply balance of the ever-rising labor force in the country. As a result, India is facing one of the most explosive problems of graduate unemployment. It is a reflection on the wastage of human power and human skill. We are not able to really provide jobs to the growing numbers of people who have graduated or done their post-graduation. And so this becomes one of the problems associated with human capital formation. Let us now move on to study how education is still a challenge in India. Well, as you know, we have a large number of illiterates. India harbors the largest number of illiterates in the world. Presently, near 36 crore people are estimated to be illiterate. The number exceeds even the total population of some countries in the world. So, this is the greatest challenge we face. Next is gender bias. There is still a significant difference in offering opportunities of education to male and female children. The enrollment ratio is relatively low for the female candidates, and their dropout ratio is considerably high. Also, the attitude of females, or even towards females with regard to the education system, needs to change. Continuing with how education is still a challenge in India. Privatization. There is a growing trend towards privatization of education. Being very expensive, private education has widened the gap between the access levels for the rich and the poor. There are therefore a few educational opportunities for the poor sections of our society. So this is the greatest challenge we face as well, because there are so many stakeholders in the private sector in education. Low government expenditure. Well, the government has failed to fulfill its commitment to spending about 6% of GDP on education. On the average, the actual expenditure has been around 4 to 5% only. This points to the gap between what is desired and what is actually achieved. In India as well, there is inadequate vocationalization. Education in India is largely degree oriented, throwing millions of educated youth into unemployment. And India is far from vocationalization of education as of now. So these are the challenges that India faces with regards to education. Here are some important organizations in our country through which the government of India tries to regulate the education sector. First, we have the NCRT. What is the full form of NCRT? The National Council for Educational Research and Training. Now, this organization is basically engaged in coming about with text material, courses, syllabus up to the senior secondary level. Then we have the UGC, the University Grants Commission. This organization is primarily the funding authority for university education. It also enforces the rules and regulations regarding higher education in the country. Then we have the AICTE, that is the All India Council for Technical Education. What does this council do? It enforces rules and regulations regarding technical and engineering education in the country. And then we have the ICMR, that is the Indian Council for Medical Research. What does this council do? It enforces rules and regulations relating to education and research. And here is a in the health that I'd like to leave you with. It is quoted by Muhammad Najamuddin. He says, "Health and education are the basic elements of human capital. Health provides everything in your life, and education provides knowledge and skills in your life." So I'd like to leave you with that quote, and we have today covered the topic human capital formation in India. Thank you, students, for giving me a listening ear.